Well, good evening, and welcome to the very first edition, our inaugural broadcast for County Conversations. So every fourth Thursday of the month, we're going to be talking to the people that power Lethbridge County. These are the folks working behind the scenes to manage infrastructure, help with policy. We're going to be talking to just about everybody in the organization at some point. Whether you're joining us on Roku TV, SSH 101 TV, Apple TV, YouTube, the website, look, we don't care how you got here. We're just really happy that you could join us here this evening. And tonight, I'm thrilled to have Kaylyn Franklin with me, our Manager of Planning and Development at Lethbridge County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for being voluntold or being willing to be the guinea pig for our very first broadcast.
Thank you.
So can you talk a little bit about how you ended up in Lethbridge? Like what is the path for someone who's in planning? How did you end up here? What does that career path look like?
It's not a typical path.
Okay.
I took some roundabout ways to get here. I had a passion and a dream to move to Edmonton. I came from northern rural Alberta, went to the U of A, got my bachelor's, and was like, okay, let's figure out how to be a planner. Started in a small town in Westlock, driving, doing permits, and then I landed my big job, which was consulting. Spent a lot of time working my way from a junior planner to a senior planner, everything from agricultural developments to infill. It was a lot of exciting work where I learned.
So, I mean, did you wake up one day and go, ooh, planning, that's what I want to do? Had you been exposed to it? Like, how did you get sort of on that career path?
So being from northern Alberta, trying to find a way out.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah, but
escape
plan. U of A had a new program. I was in grade 12 trying to be like, what do I do with the rest of my life? And it just conveniently worked out. My dad was on council and working with a planner at the time. And he was like, hey, come to this council meeting. And I started reading online and I was like, that could be me. So it was just an opportunity to go to a new program and try something really unique for a career.
Okay. And you say that's not typical. So, you know, what does a typical planner's path look like then? Well,
it's the path I took after that.
Okay. The consulting and so on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after consulting, I was really burnt out. I was tired. It was a lot to take in a really short period of time. And I stopped and was like, do I want to be a planner anymore? And can I try something new? So that's how I ended up with the province. I spent 5 years in the province.
Okay. You're one of those government people.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm atypical.
Okay.
I worked really hard in the province. I took on really big initiatives. And when I say I did a lot of different things, I was in 5 ministries in 5 years,
wow.
5 positions. Just took every opportunity to grow.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah. People do slam public service and they do slam working for the province, but you think about the issues the provincial government has to deal with and fund. It's a very complex organization, and there's enormous scope to the things that have to be done.
Yeah, the issues that I understand now that I can apply to planning, it definitely opened my perspective. I did everything from affordable housing to agriculture and forestry engagement. I spent time doing education, capital funding, planning for schools, and as well as managing their budget. So like just that sheer variety allows me to apply it to everything planning and development.
Okay. Now, I mean, I've been in economic development for over a decade, and it's not often that I've run across someone who's a planner, has a professional education and experience in planning, but also has their MBA. So how did that sort of cross paths for you?
I was in the province trying to navigate, okay, where does my career go? Because I don't have a path anymore. I'm not a planner anymore.
Yeah.
And what did I actually enjoy about my job? And it came down to the project management, the leadership. It didn't matter what I was doing anymore, as long as I was driving something forward is what I had meaning to. And so the MBA was that next step for me.
Okay.
Really the next building block. Build my career, and I thought it was going to give me the best opportunity to move into leadership and all of just the next variety of challenges.
Well, I mean, I certainly appreciate you have a very business-oriented mindset. I mean, I've worked with a lot of planners, and sometimes, and this is no disrespect to people in the planning profession that are out there watching tonight, but often it's, here's the rule book, how can I say no? Whereas I find you tend to answer the question with, well, how might me? What is the business case? Does this make sense? And do you attribute that to just some of your consulting experience, the business mindset that comes through that kind of education, or all of the above?
It's kind of a mixture.
Okay.
I come from a business background, family entrepreneur, so like I have a lot of economic development, business growth in my roots, but like it also comes back to that consulting, being on the other side of the table, trying to get a really good proposal approved, but being told no in every way possible is so frustrating, and I don't want to be that person. I'm here to work with everyone with the county, and what I want the most for any project is to see their vision come true, and we just have to work within the rules to figure that out.
Yeah, there are standards, there are expectations, but we're here to try and solve that and make things possible.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great sort of summary of why we exist, right?
Yes.
Okay, so had to go to school to be a planner because that was going to be an escape route out of northern and rural Alberta. Landed in Edmonton, the capital city. You know, do some great work in the region. You end up with the provincial government, learning 5 ministries in 5 years. That's pretty awesome. And now Southern Alberta, Lethbridge. So how did you end up here?
That came down to family values.
Okay.
We had built our career so strongly in Edmonton, thriving, but we weren't getting what we wanted for our families anymore. My husband and I, we have a little guy, and the ability to move and take a big jump to move to Lethbridge, it was a big decision, but a really good one for our family. And Lethbridge gave us a really good opportunity for both of us. So
awesome.
It really was rooted in the family values that I know everyone in Lethbridge really they respect and honor, so like it's really appreciated moving here.
Yeah, Southern Alberta definitely has a different vibe than Edmonton, and the weather's a lot better too. Okay. So your role, manager of planning and development, like for people that are watching, what the heck does that mean? What does that job actually involve?
It involves a lot of conversations, talking to people every day, and everything comes through my desk. If you want to build something, if you have a vision for your land in the future, if you want to use some heavy equipment to move, some unique materials, I've seen it all. It's very innovative thinking, creative ideas that come through us, and what we have to manage is all of the different perspectives, all of the policy and bylaws, and make sure that we come to a compliant, fair resolution. Development means a lot of different things to people. People take ownership of their land, and
because it's my land, I bought it, I should be able to do what I want, right?
And I understand that. It's finding that middle ground through conversations to find out what is your end goal and how can we support you through that. So my role is really facilitating those conversations through the bylaws and the policies that we do have to achieve that ultimate development or vision you have for your family acreage.
Okay, so there's land use bylaws about how land can be used. There's safety codes. There's things. We have some expectations around if you're going to go build a thing, what that could look like. But I guess it's also to try and make sure that's as little restrictive as possible, to be as flexible as possible to accommodate what people want to accomplish with their business or their home or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a balancing act. At the end of the day, we have to think about every decision and how the enjoyment of other people's property are going to be impacted by whatever your use or building proposal is. What we really want to see is what is the county going to be in 10, 20, 30 years if we build this, if we create a land use conflict. Conscious, being very purposeful where we put projects, it's going to make our community have a different feel and economic development outcome in the end.
So yeah, if I decide to build a 10-story tower and I've got loud operations, even though you might be a champion of it's my property, I want to do what I want with it. If I'm your neighbor and I decide that's what I'm going to do with mine, you may have objections as the neighbor because I'm now impacting your ability to enjoy your property, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, that is why planning exists, because there is conflicts between different uses, and there's places for industrial commercial, there's places for 10-story towers, and we do have to provide that guidance through policies like our land use bylaw, municipal development plan.
The alphabet soup of different legislation and regulations.
All of those ABCs, abbreviations that I give county people that they don't understand, and don't be intimidated by it.
Okay. So, I mean, I think I always get questions about, I want to build a thing, whether it's a garage. Do I need a development permit? Do I need a building permit? Do I need both? Can you talk a little bit about, just generically, if I have an acreage, I'm looking to build a brand new garage, what do I actually need? Like, how does that process work?
So you're asking the right questions, because that's usually what is missed is, what do I need?
Okay.
And
People just go ahead and build a thing.
unfortunately.
That's not helpful.
Yeah, so we say plan first, ask questions. The answer is usually yes, you need a permit, a development permit and a building permit. They are different types of permits.
Okay.
One comes before the other.
So I assume development permit is the first step. Can you explain what that is or what's involved there?
So development permit, in the shortest plain language, it's your use and what you were building. So it's really focused on location. Is this the right place to build X?
Okay.
So we're looking at setbacks, the land use in the area, making sure it's the right place to build, detached garage or maybe a commercial development. On the contrast, when you're looking for a building permit, we're talking about if it's safe. So our greatest intention is we don't want the building to fall on top of you tomorrow or 20 years down the line. We do have a very large obligation to public safety, and that's top of mind.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a misconception that a lot of people have. So if I heard you correctly, development permit, all about how this might impact my neighbors, how it might impact what that area is intended for. So we have a land use, I think, called grouped country residential. I'm probably not building my 5-acre amusement park inside a neighborhood of country homes, right? That's the intent, is to prevent that kind of conflict.
Because we need to respect the residential nature of that group country residential area, and people want to live beside their neighbors or their family members and have that warm community feel and have their kids ride their bike down the road. That is the intention.
And that's why I moved there, and presumably you're going to help protect my property value and the things that are supposed to be around me. Okay. And then the building permit is more around, I would imagine, things like drainage and how it fits on my property, the heights, visual issues, like conflicts that way, and then actual building codes, or is it more focused on the safety building code component?
So building permits is all safety codes. So it's under the Safety Codes Act. It's your structure, your electrical, it's everything inside those building walls. In the development sense, we are looking at your height. Obviously, don't build a 10-story tower in group country residential.
All right.
Your dreams are, yeah.
Okay.
So because height impacts your neighbor's experience. Shadow is a big thing. Lights in rural areas. So although we're talking about the building and the use, there's a lot to think about.
Okay. And again, building codes, safety codes are generally provincial and federal standard. That's not up to Kaylyn. That's not a Lethbridge County thing, but we administer and enforce the rules around those things. Is that fair?
That is exactly correct. We are there to facilitate approvals. We're an accredited organization and work directly with Park Enterprise, and they have an obligation to the Safety Code Act to deliver on the mandate in the code.
Yeah, because I think that sometimes gets lost as you're seen as the big bad non-approver with the rejected stamp. But it's like, hey, these they're not our rules to enforce. They're the provincial, like we don't set those. So make sure you're talking to the right government, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm, again, I'm building my garage, I'm coming to you now, I've asked questions, I'm coming first for a development permit. Can I do that online? Do I come into the office? Like, how do I actually get answers to those questions? What do I need to do?
Yeah, so we are available to support you through that application process, and we have a lot of different means. We have an email address, development@lethcounty.ca.
Okay.
Send us your proposal, site plan. It can be a Google image with you sketched your little plan.
So Trevor's crayon art would be okay?
Yeah, that's a starting place for conversations. Email that, your address, information about what you're proposing. Alternatively, if you prefer the face-to-face conversations, we've started development walk-in hours Tuesday to Thursday at the county office. So my team's there to support you, have those one-on-one conversations and available.
So I can literally, during those office hours, I can just walk in off the street and ask my questions. And
yeah, hopefully you come with a municipal address or a land description. That's really helpful.
A few more details? Yeah. Okay, fair.
Yeah, and exactly what you want to build. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, I mean, a lot of so that's sort of the garage example I've been beating up on here. A lot of communities talk about, hey, we're open for business and we're here to support industry. And then you often find that as a business, you go to do some work and it's very bureaucratic, it's very painful, and often the first answer is no. So what's, since this is your area, what's your take on this open for business? How do you, I guess, try to ensure that the county is competitive and is open for innovation and creativity from the business community?
I think like it's rooted in my team. We're a really ambitious team. We're always talking about continuous improvement and taking those lessons learned.
Okay.
I've been with the county 6 months. We're making improvements to process. I want the process to be as seamless as possible from the other side, that external side.
Okay.
Recognizing it's not always the case. So ironing out our internal processes and making sure we're clear with applicants is going to make it easier and supportive of growth. I don't think a lot of people in the county know this, but my team actually meet 1 hour every week and talk about continuous improvement. We have a list of quick wins we've made in the last 6 months.
Okay.
So we're having those conversations. I think we're just ramping up as a team. So you're going to continue to see improvements from planning and development.
Yeah, and to be fair, the first 6 months as a fellow relatively newcomer to the county organization is about learning where the washrooms are, never mind what the policies are and how do you make change to the organization, right? That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we have statutory plans. They need some work. Market changes, and so although they've been in for 10 years, they need a relook. Market changes, the demand changes. We're launching a conversation about residential strategy next week.
Okay.
So we're there engaging with the community, and we'll make change as it's necessary and talk to council about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think about a land use bylaw or standards that were written 10 years ago. The world has essentially changed, not only through COVID and how we live, but technologies, building materials, the advent of AI, like the whole world is completely different, but our rules don't always change with that, right? Yeah. Okay, interesting. I just think it's exciting that your team is very focused on continuous improvement and open to suggestions. I've already seen that myself in a number of meetings that we've been in. It's like, okay, well, we need to think about this differently. Is that normal in the planning and development world, or do you think that's more a reflection of yourself and Jessica and Hannah, who are the two amazing people on your team? Do you think that's more a reflection of the powerhouse, the group that you have here at the county?
I think honestly it's the powerhouse team that I've got with me. I don't see that in every planning department. When I was in consulting, there was definitely those municipal administrations that nothing was going to change. Okay. So I think it's the uniqueness of the team at the county and even our disciplines around us, operations, infrastructure, willing to just take our ideas and change processes.
Yeah, and I do feel that sort of coming to the county from outside relatively recently, that there's a real openness to what do we need to do to make this work? What do we need to do to make positive change? And how do we make a difference across the board? That's certainly been my experience. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about the development side. The other half is the planning thing. And I know there's things like a municipal development plan. There's supposed to be these long-term looks at, thinking about county and infrastructure and that road we might build in 50 years' time. What does the planning side of your work look like?
So the planning side is really what do we want the county to look like in 10, 20, 30 years? If we don't take an intentional purpose to talk about it, we have no control. We have no vision, no endpoint to achieve. Right. So we very much process DPs every day, but
DP being
development permits. Sorry, thank you. And like those development permits, what do they amount to? So that municipal development plan is really supposed to be our guiding star of what do the county want to achieve? How do we support industry and growth? In what ways do we want to see growth?
So kind of the master vision, sort of the North Star of here's where we want to get to as a community. Okay.
Yeah, and then the plans in between that are all of our area structure plans and our residential strategies. Those are supposed to be more of those strategic, targeted look at, okay, this piece of land we're developing, what does this look like? There has to be a plan for roads and water and sanitary. Those services don't just show up when you buy the lot.
Yeah, I guess some of those things are kind of important.
Yeah, so like all of those steps are really necessary to make sure that the end product is marketable and it works within the long-range vision of the county.
Okay. Now, I want to come back to something you said earlier about this residential strategy that's launching next week.
Yes.
And so is that an opportunity for people to, like, I'm assuming you're looking for people to get involved as we reform new plans? Like when you say residential strategy, I guess first of all, what is that? What are we trying to create?
Yeah, so the residential strategy, it's a policy document that the county council approved back in 2020.
Okay.
It's really guiding where does group country residential development go? What proximity is it to the coulees or to our urban boundaries? What kind of amenities are going to go there? And so those types of policies guide council decisions when we're making decisions about subdivisions and rezonings.
Okay.
But like 5 years have passed, and that strategy needs a relook. And what better way to start is collaboration and go have conversations with industry, builders, and developers, as well as a public survey.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, Lethbridge County, the residents are who live there. And so how do they see Lethbridge County growing? What is their experience living in the residents of Lethbridge County? We need to ask those critical conversations to understand where do we need to pivot on policy? What do we need to take a closer look at? And we're doing some industry workshops, and those workshops are really going to talk about what has your experiences been developing in the county? What could we do differently? What innovative ideas do they have that we've said no to, or something new technology to providing water? Like, let's have those conversations.
So you're going to go directly to the builders, to the industry, and say what's working, what's not working. That's great. Okay, so you're going to interact directly with them.
Yes, like that is the approach to land use planning that I come from. That's the reason I love the profession. Conversations lead to good things, and I'm not going to be able to say yes to everything they propose, but we need to listen and we need to gather that feedback so we can make good decisions.
Okay, awesome. And so if I'm a resident then, you said there's a survey coming out, like how do if I live in the county and I have some very specific thoughts about how your world should work, how do I get that information to you?
Yeah, I can't wait to hear from you. There will be a survey launching on Monday.
Okay.
All of the county platforms will be sharing it quite broadly, and then also on the Lethbridge County website. So there will be lots of means. It will be open until the end of March, and we will be advertising to get people to respond.
Okay, perfect. Guys, again, I think the lived experience of people that choose to be county residents, we want to understand, I think, why did you choose that when you've got lots of options, but also what can we learn from people that are, like I said, challenges or issues, I think. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, there's communities inside the county, like I'm thinking a Coaldale. If I'm a Coaldale resident, do I have to talk to you about building stuff, or am I supposed to go to the town? Like, how does that work?
So Lethbridge County is really interesting that we actually have 11 intermunicipal development relationships. 11, like not enough fingers.
Okay.
It's a little overwhelming as a new manager of planning and development.
Because I guess you don't think about all of the neighbors the county has, as well as all the urban areas within the county itself. Yeah. 11 different arrangements.
11 arrangements. So when we're talking about our neighbors, like Town of Coaldale, Town of Colehurst, City of Lethbridge, we have relationships with them, we have agreements with them. Anyone that lives in those boundaries, that's your jurisdiction. Anything outside of that is Lethbridge County. It makes it for a very interesting dynamic, and it makes relationships really important.
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, there's multiple layers, I guess, upon layer of rules and regulations. And again, coming back to your original point, part of your team's job is to help us as residents navigate those things. Okay. I want to come back again to sort of your early career and your non-traditional path. We often get a lot of students that watch this program, Jess TV and some of the other programs that are here. So for students that are watching tonight, maybe they're at the U of A like you were in that program, or maybe they're here at the University of Lethbridge. And I know you've been pretty active on campus in both locations, promoting the profession. As you think back through your career, is there any advice you would have for those students? Is there anything that was sort of a significant milestone that shaped your career that's like, oh, every student needs to think about this or go through that?
Yeah, and I think it roots back to my shift to the province and realizing that I didn't need to be a planner to actually learn and grow my career. So young planners, I would encourage flexibility. I was not a flexible individual, and that giant leap was absolutely terrifying, and I thought, like, worst thing I could have done to myself, but I learned so much from it. I challenged myself, and I came out a very different planner, very different professional because of that experience. So be willing to take risks, be a little more flexible what your career looks like. Trying different things, even though it's not planning, is going to add a lot of value. And I don't think I've seen that fully when I was a young starting out planner.
Yeah, because I think in some ways we're taught that, you need to become a subject matter expert. So as a planner or as an economic developer, you take as many planning or economic development courses as possible. And yet I think, my career, I've got an HR background, I've worked in government, I've owned my own business. All of that makes me a better thinker and a better economic developer because I have much more to draw on. Do you feel like that's kind of the same experience for you?
Definitely the case. I did a position in finance, and I don't have a finance background, and people are like, well, how did you do that? I brought my skills with me. I brought my processes, my communication skills, and although I didn't know all the accounting answers, I knew how to navigate getting answers and problem solving. So I think anyone can learn from being a little bit outside their comfort zone.
Okay. Yeah, it's a bit like, again, I think traditionally we've been taught to climb the quote-unquote corporate ladder, and you need to progress vertically through the levels and job titles, but some of my greatest learning opportunities have been lateral motions, or maybe even someone would consider a demotion if they were looking at titles, but I'm like, no, it's a much better job. It's way cooler.
Yeah.
Okay. As you think back on your career, is there a project or an initiative that stands out the most, and you're like, oh, I'm so proud of this thing that I was a part of or that I created?
Yeah, it's really hard to pick one project.
Okay.
Like, I have all my near and dear to my heart things I built, and then I have the policy stuff that I led in the province, but there is one. When I was in consulting, there was one client that trusted me. Like, for a young planner, they put so much trust in me. They seen my potential, and they brought me along on their whole development. And when I say I started with a section, a blank piece section of Eggland, I was part of the land use concept. I was part of going to get financing for the project, bringing on builders. It was this incredible experience, and then I left consulting. And I knew nothing about what was going on. I didn't know that it got approved. And it was that one part that made me sad.
Yeah, because it's your baby at some point, and then you just sort of...
Just gone. I was on parental leave, and I heard their show homes open for the builder that I got them. And I actually took my son, and that client was there, and I got the biggest hug. And, like, it just was so overwhelmingly happy, because, like, I led to this, they recognized that, and I knew how much this project meant to him.
Okay.
He was not a developer. This was his passion project. And just to be a part of that, it was just so special.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're standing there in front of the show home that he's obviously very proud of, but it was a blank piece of paper, it was a piece of eggland. You were very much a part of creating this thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's got to be very cool to be able to stand there and touch it and see it.
Yeah.
Okay. As you look back on your career, has there been someone that's been like a significant mentor to you, or that helped shape sort of the career? And I guess I'm curious to know, if there was such a human, what kind of advice did they give you that you think other people should be aware of?
So I wish I had like that one magical story of one person. I really don't.
Okay.
I think as I moved through my career, there was very significant pinpoint people that I'm like, you were my person. That's why I progressed to the next step. But I think it's because I needed different things at different times. So when I was a young planner, I had that one person that challenged me. They literally gave me planning tests. And I look back and I'm like, he gave me a site plan to fail. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. But that was his mentorship strategy, and that's what I needed. But then I fast forward into when I started as a manager and into the leadership. I had these two really strong female executive directors, very contrast style. It really helped me navigate what kind of leader I wanted to be. And having those conversations about personalities and strength finders, that really helped me find where I needed to be. So I think I needed different people at different times.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. Again, I think about the demands you have as a parent and as a manager, and just a person trying to survive this crazy day and age that we all live in. What do you do to stay energized? How do you find the balance of what I would imagine is a fairly demanding job? I mean, we've been joking recently about how every day I seem to be standing in your doorway with yet another thing. How do you balance that with, being a mom and having a family, and what do you do to kind of keep that all under control?
It's a balancing act. I'm not perfect at it. I don't think anyone is. I think it's priorities.
Okay.
I'm in my nature, I'm an executing person, but being able to set those priorities and recognize when it's time to sign off, it's time to sign off, and I gotta go get my little one. So the priorities really helps being able to shut it off, and you have to create that mental space for your family. And something I've really had to work hard at is when I put my key in the door at the county, that's shut off for the moment. I'm now mom, but also like I recognize the happiness and the joy that my work brings, and so sharing that with my son. And he came to my office.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's been in the office a few times.
He wanted to know where the refrigerator was. So like I want him to be a part of what I do and understand what mom does, because honestly, I don't think anyone does.
I think I struggle with what is planning and development, as we've talked about. I can only imagine, someone who's, just barely getting into school and other things, and you have quite a young son. It's like, how do you boil down those really complex concepts, right? Yeah,
it comes down to like mom helps people decide where things go. Where do we put the buildings? Where do we put the roads? And that's as simple as it gets.
Even I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there is a way, and it's a balance. But I really do value my family time, and I value my work life.
Good. Well, again, career, the joke is always we spend more time at work than we do with our families sometimes, but I've appreciated the flexibility at the county of I need to take this appointment, but I can work this hour at home, or I need to come and go as I please. Like there is the ability to do that, which I think is it's pretty powerful.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So as we look forward quickly, I can't believe it's already been half an hour, and so I'm mindful of your time. As we look into 2026, this residential strategy obviously is going to be a big public consultation. We want lots of feedback, lots of work to do there. What are some of the other big things you're working on this year?
Yeah, so in addition to the residential strategy, it's our continuous improvement. We are ongoing recognizing processes that we can improve, different interfaces with the public, making planning development more accessible to people. I don't expect anyone to open our land use bylaw that's 500 pages and understand it.
I will admit to having opened it a few times and closed it very quickly and just come to ask you the questions.
Yeah, so we need to make planning and development more accessible to everyone to understand, and making processes quicker. I still say you need to plan ahead for your permits, but that's what I would like 2026 to be really focused on, is just those key elements that the public experience and making those experiences more positive.
Okay, perfect. And so again, development@lethcounty.ca is how folks can submit information?
That is the best email to reach us, and we triage emails, so definitely recognize it takes about 3 days for us to get back to you.
Okay, and then lethcounty.ca is the website, has bylaws, all the other information I could ever hope to sink my teeth into if I want to look ahead.
Yes, application forms have checklists. We try to make that easy. The first page is exactly what you need to submit. So there's lots of resources, and if you're having trouble finding something, just reach out.
Okay, and then again, open office hours are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, so people can just stop by and...
There's time blocks, 9 to 11 on some of the days, and 1 to 4, I think, on the, or 2 to 4.
They can call and find out what those are.
They can call. They're on our website, on our social media, so...
Okay, awesome. Thanks again for being with me tonight. Anything you want to leave the audience with? Any final thoughts on planning, development, career, family? Anything you want to leave with our audience tonight? I
think I'll just leave the plug for my team that, apply early. We get a lot of permits this spring. We're moving into a really busy time. So plan ahead for whatever you want to build. We want to hear from you. We just can't hear from you that you want to build tomorrow.
Because that's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Spring is sooner than you think.
Well, see, there you go. Good advice. Get early, communicate, give us the details. Kaylyn Franklin is the Manager of Planning and Development at Lethbridge County. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. I appreciate you being here. And thank you for watching the very first episode of County Conversations. We'll see you next month when we interview one of the next rising stars in Lethbridge County and the people behind the scenes that really power the operation and the organization and help you enjoy the community in which you live. Thanks for joining us.